All right, guys, back with another good one for you today. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Let's get into it.
What you doing?
Just talking to Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going through a lot still.
Yeah, she's going through some stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So, what time you heading over there?
Probably around like 6-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. You realize you were the one airplaying the movie on the TV, right?
Yeah.
You realize you're still fucking airplaying? Not the sharpest tool in the box. You can't even say that right. Sharpest tool in the shed, you idiot.
That's how sneaky they'll be, too. They'll be laying right there looking nonchalantly, be sitting there texting their piece on the side and act like nothing's happening. Yeah, I'll never be married again. I'll just tell you that. I ain't going to talk on my experience. That's something for a whole nother channel, a whole nother time. But I'm telling you, to always be aware. You always got to think everything's suspicious to stay ahead of them. I'm telling you that now.
I'm going to say the shit, and I don't give a fuck who cries in the comments. It's about to get real. I'm done apologizing for being white. I didn't own slaves. I didn't write Jim Crow. I didn't redline shit. I was born in the 1980s to a middle-class family that had to work for everything. I work 50-plus hours a week, pay my taxes, and I'm still told I'm the villain. Every day it's check your white privilege, do a land acknowledgement, post the black square, feel guilty for something I had zero to do with. No fucking way. My great-grandparents came off a boat from Germany with nothing. I've got black people in my family tree, and nobody in my bloodline ever owned a slave. You want a fucking apology? Dig up the dead. You want money? Call Congress, or better yet, fucking work for it like everybody else has to. I'm not your emotional punching bag, and I'm sure as hell not your ATM because my skin is lighter than yours. And let's be real, people who never pick cotton want a check from people who never owned a plantation. That's not justice, that's a shakedown. And these sniveling liberal white apologists crying online for sins they didn't commit, you're not brave, you're a fucking embarrassment. You apologize when you fuck up, not for history you weren't alive for. I'm sick of being told it's a crime to be a straight white man in this country. I go out of my way to treat people with respect until they give me a reason not to. I'm done bending the knee. I'm done whispering. I'm done disappearing into the background so you fucking feel comfortable. I'm picking my side. I'm not guilty. I'm not sorry. I never was. You can fucking stay mad. If you're done apologizing too, drop a comment below.
Well, he sounds like he's mad about something. But what do you guys feel about that? Throw it in the comments.
We're going to get Greys, Nordics, reptilians, and insectoids. That kind of encompasses many of the top categories that we've heard for so long. They all apparently actually exist. I cannot wait for this disclosure to happen, man. I mean, we've been waiting for so freaking long. It's like, just bring it on. And it was supposed to be on Tuesday, right? It was supposed to be Tuesday. Representative Anna Paulina Luna sent a letter to the Pentagon. You got to get this done by then. But now Burchett, after talking to the president, introduces a bill. He just so happens to introduce a bill that gives the entire Pentagon authority to disclose where no one group bottles it off. How cool is that? Well, wasn't fast enough, dude. The disclosure deadline for Tuesday never freaking happened at all.
You know, that's crazy because I haven't heard nothing else about them missing, the ones who went missing and all that. You know how that was a big thing there for a while. It's kind of just faded out into the background now. I don't even know what's going on with the disclosure. I haven't heard nothing about it.
First encounter with the extraterrestrials was with the Nordics, the Pleiadians, on February 20th of 1954. That encounter did not result in any agreement. The aliens wanted us to give up our nuclear weapons, and if we did that, they would help us develop amazing technology, not weapon-related, and would help us with developing other technologies in terms of health and other things, but they wanted us to concentrate on spiritual development. And Eisenhower's generals decided to turn that deal down. Well, 2 months later, Eisenhower had another encounter, this time with the Greys. This was supposedly at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. That deal resulted in something called the Treaty of Greada, in which we agreed to let them abduct people in return for them helping us develop technology. In this case, it was weaponry more than technology.
Yeah, I could see our government turning down the first deal, but agreeing to let them abduct people and then denying it. That would make sense why it's a big secret that they exist, because the agreement was they could abduct people, and the government don't want people thinking that they really exist. So when you say you was abducted, or somebody says they seen them, you sound crazy, but the whole time the government really knows that they're really out there. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Telling me there's a bridge in Scotland where over 600 dogs have jumped to their deaths since the 1950s and nobody has ever explained why.
Overtune Bridge, buddy. Milton, Scotland. And it's not random spots on the bridge either. Every single dog jumps from the same exact location. Owners report their dogs walking normally and then suddenly stopping at that specific spot, looking over deliberately and jumping.
So what do the owners say happens?
That's what makes this different from any other animal behavior ever recorded, buddy. These aren't distressed dogs, and the ones that survive the fall and are carried back onto the bridge by their owners go straight back to the same spot and jump again. Animal behaviorists, architects, paranormal investigators, even a dog psychologist have all visited that bridge. Every single theory has been proposed. Smell from animals below, acoustic anomalies, electromagnetic fields. None of them fully explain why it is always the same 2 feet of railing and always dogs specifically. The locals have called it the dog suicide bridge since the 1950s. And in all that time, not one scientific explanation has held up under scrutiny, buddy. Go look up the documented case studies on Overtune Bridge. The consistency of that exact location across 70 years is what no one can explain away.
You're telling me
Why would people even take their dog on there? I love the shit out of my dog. There ain't no way I'd even chance something like that. Yeah, that's crazy. If you know that happens, or you've heard, even if I heard, it might be a possibility. Ain't no way my dog would be doing that. Nope. We're staying far away from that bridge. We ain't going close to it. And if we do, it's being in my hands, held.
The way we lived in the 90s is something kids today will never experience. Back then, only kids from wealthy families had the legendary 90s big screen TVs at home. Before high-speed internet became a thing, we'd literally carry our computers over to a friend's house for gaming parties. After school, we couldn't wait to get home just to log into AOL chat rooms and talk to random strangers online. Every Friday night, we'd go to Blockbuster with our parents. It was a weekly tradition, walking around the aisles and picking out the movies we'd watch over the weekend. Those laser pointers were everywhere back then. You'd see hundreds of tiny red dots all over the place. If you wanted to watch your favorite TV show, you had to be sitting in front of the TV at the exact time. Miss it? You missed it. Photos weren't instantly available. You had to wait an entire week for your film to be developed before you could see them. Remember Taco Bell back then? Sitting inside and eating there felt like a whole experience. I love everything about this. Best Pizza Hut store design and logo. They never should have changed. If you experienced any of this, tell me how old you are. The way we...
Yeah, that's true about the big screen TV. It was only the kids who had the good big money. It was the ones who had them big old projection TVs. Remember getting up every morning before school and going over to one of them rich kids' houses to watch their big screen TV. Gave you a whole different feel. Yeah, them was the good days. Life was so much different. I think it was better then. But I mean, there's a lot of trade-offs for what's better, what's worse, you know. But yeah, that was a whole different time, man. Crazy. Can only imagine how much more you're going to experience changing throughout our lifetime.
Seen in the sky over the southeastern United States just the other day, and I got pictures of it. Pictures, baby cakes. So like I said, this picture was taken over the southeastern part of the United States. You notice anything right above my head? What about now that I circled it for you? You see that? You see that light in the sky? Well, it ain't the sun. It ain't the moon. It ain't the Human Torch. For all you people who've heard of the Fantastic Four, that is something different. And it's also not a plane. Maybe it's an orb, but it'd be a strange looking one. So with all of that stuff eliminated, it's definitely a UFO, because a UFO is an unidentified flying object, not necessarily an alien spacecraft. And truthfully, if I saw this thing in the sky, especially in the middle of the day, when it can't be a star or something like that, I'd freak out, baby cakes. I'd freak out. Because this right there is not a normal thing to see up in the sky. So let me know what you think of this whole situation down in the comment section. Shabadoo booshkies. Shabadoo.
I think a lot of times, I think there's another dimension. I mean, if we knew about 2D, 3D, 4D, I guarantee there's stuff that we haven't even learned yet. And that's what all this stuff is. It might be interdimensional, like they say. I mean, it's just so hard to believe anything anymore. They hide the truth from us about what things are, and it makes it so much more complicated than just telling us what the truth is.
Oh, I'm recording. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm getting this on video.
That's a North Carolina UFO video, and that's about as clear footage as you're ever going to get. And I don't know if that thing is alien, or maybe a drone, or maybe something made by the government, but it was up in the sky, it was seen in North Carolina, and people recorded it. Okay, Booshkies, I just wanted to show that to you. Shabadoo.
I don't know why he keeps popping in my feed so much, but that.
Hold on a second. Are you guys aware that in Terminator 2, Sarah Connor, the famous protagonist, she did something so shocking, and what happened to her is so wild when you look at what's happening today. Now, we all know Terminator is about AI and cyborgs and humanity and them trying to control us and everything and them going back in time to try to stop it. We know that. And we know Sarah Connor is watching humanity build data centers for AI right now, wondering what the Sam Dam is going on. But did you know that she tried to dismantle data centers in the movie and then was thrown into a state hospital for the criminally insane? And doctors classified her warnings about Judgment Day and cyborgs as paranoid schizophrenia. She went in to attempting to destroy corporate and military data centers. Most notably in Terminator 2, she raids the offices and prototypes of Cyberdyne systems to prevent the creation of Skynet. You do know that China's whole situation over there with the facial recognition and everything is literally called Skynet, right? So how did this movie kind of like predict? It didn't predict. See, this is the thing. People say predict. Is it predicting or is it conditioning? I don't know. But let me know if you remember the data center part of this thing, because if I remember correctly, back then there was no data centers, at least not publicly known. Hold on a second.
I've never watched Terminator. I got the idea of what it's about, but I've never actually sat down and watched Terminator. Have you guys ever seen it? Throw that in the comments. I'd like to see how many other people have never.
What I can remember of it, I think I said thank you to Young Hollywood for this award. Thank you to all the young people. You old people. Old people can go themselves. I'm going to live forever. I'm going to live forever. And then I walked out.
With that speech, how did it work out for you?
Just silence. There was a lot of young people there.
A lot of young people.
A lot of really young people there.
Right.
It's wild how they use late night comedy to pass this off as a joke. The talk show audience is laughing, but listen to what she actually said. She stood at that award show and told everyone that she's going to live forever. Why is it always the actors that they call awkward who slip up and tell you exactly what is going on? I'm not saying this is anything but what a weird and strange thing to say. And this isn't the first time that we've seen her acting strange on cam. There are countless times. Go look it up for yourself. They always say that they hide the truth in laughter. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below.
But I can.
A deformed raccoon named Jimothy has gone viral after roaming Seattle with what experts believe to be short spine syndrome, a rare congenital condition that severely compresses the spine. Animals born with the disorder often struggle to survive in the wild because reduced mobility can make it harder to escape predators, find food, climb trees, and compete with healthier animals, with many never reaching adulthood. Despite those overwhelming odds, Jimothy appears remarkably healthy and agile, but every day in the wild remains a fight for survival, making him an unlikely symbol of resilience. This photo shows soccer legend Diego Maradona wearing a no-drugs jersey in 1993 after returning from a 15-month suspension for testing positive for cocaine. By then, his addiction had already destroyed his legendary career at Napoli, led to a police raid on his home, and resulted in his arrest for drug possession. Just a year later, he was expelled from the 1994 World Cup after another failed drug test, ending his international career. And a third failed test in 1997 brought his playing career to a humiliating close. Even after retiring, his health only continued to collapse. He suffered a cocaine-related heart attack in 2000, was hospitalized with severe hepatitis in 2004, and endured multiple life-threatening medical emergencies before dying of heart failure in 2020, just weeks after brain surgery. with prosecutors later claiming negligent medical care contributed to his death.
This lady was pure evil. During the early 1970s in Blackwater, Louisiana, there was a lady named Barbara Q who owned a bed and breakfast 15 miles off the nearest highway exit. She kept fairly busy, typically having a few guests over every night, and she was loved by everyone. Furthermore, she was known for her famous beef stew, which she served every morning. In September of 1972, a man named Ray Zenz was traveling for work, and therefore he ended up stopping at Barbara's bed and breakfast for the night. When he checked in, Barbara asked him a strange question. "Does anybody know that you are here?" Ray replied, "No." That night, while he was sleeping, he suddenly awoke and saw the silhouette of Barbara standing at the end of his bed. She was softly singing an old lullaby. However, as soon as he turned on the lamp next to him, she lunged at him. Nevertheless, Ray escaped her grasp and ran out of the room. He yelled and woke up everybody else and then called the police. When they arrived, they questioned Barbara. However, she strangely said, normally they don't fight back. Concerned, the officers fully investigated the property. As a result, they found something horrific. Her so-called famous beef stew was, in fact, not beef.
I think them are fake stories, but that's a good reason why I don't trust nobody else cooking my food. I wouldn't just stay at some random stranger.
Here go another video of a UFO shooting down a missile. It zaps the missile 3 times, and then the missile goes out of commission. Look at that. Like, they really are trying to help save our planet. Look at that. They're showing who has the real power here. What y'all think about this video? Here go another.
That's the second or third time a video about that's popped on my feed. You know what? They just need to come clear and say what's going on, what these things are, because that right there shows if they can do that, we have no chance against them. So obviously they ain't here to do some kind of harm. Whatever it is, whatever that is, that might have been a secret weapon that somebody in another country has. But if it's not, and this stuff about aliens and UFOs is true, that right there shows we wouldn't even have a fighting chance against them. Like they would be so much outpowered that there's no point in even trying to fight something like that. So obviously they're not here to do harm. So what are they here for? I don't know. Throw some stuff in the comments if you guys got any info about this video, because I just know it keeps popping in my.
In prison, they would steal oil out of the kitchen and then put the stinger in it, and they could deep fry stuff. This guy, Scott would take his mattress, and they'd curl up their mattresses and stick them in somebody else's cell. We had the sheet of metal for the bunk bed, and they'd take them off, and he would have every surface of the entire thing. They would deep fry all day. They'd make wraps with chicken in them that they stole out of the kitchen, deep fry the shit out of them, and I mean, they put them out and take orders, and you'd come in. I used to never put my order in. I always come in. I'd be like, bro, come on, let me get one. No, Cox, no, we're booked. I don't even have enough to fill my orders. One, come on. In prison.
Yeah, I've been to prison. They come up with all kinds of shit in there. I spent quite a bit of time in there, and I've seen a lot of different ways people do things. And I guess people with time, you'll figure it out. I was in there with people who was doing life. They ain't got nothing. They know that's where they're at. They're staying there forever, and they make sure they utilize every resource they can.
Much of what you're about to see has never been public before. The Pentagon now releasing another batch of its so-called UFO files after they were declassified by President Trump. And this morning, we got an exclusive first look.
This morning, the GMA exclusive, more than 50 videos and other documents detailing strange objects in the sky, many of which the military can't explain, released in the second batch of the Pentagon's so-called UFO files. Inside, never-before-seen video like this from 2024. The Coast Guard picking up this object as it flew near a plane over the southeastern U.S. And this taken by the U.S. military over Syria in 2021, following an unidentified object before it suddenly speeds off. The service member who submitted the video labeling it instant acceleration. Others seen flying in apparent formation. All part of over 200 files released so far detailing what the military officially calls unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, better known as UFOs, wrong in object.
Much of what you're...
See, that's some crazy technology, man. Like, just break it out. Tell us what is going on. That's just crazy. Like, let it be known. Maybe it'd be better for... They probably don't want it to be known because, yeah, I don't know. People... They got their reasons, I guess. There must be something really, 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 really big behind it.
Explained to me is that they are gods, with the little g. So the entire UFO phenomenon is about multiple gods that fight amongst themselves and by design factionalize mankind into different religions to step back and let us fight each other, so it has other things that it wants to accomplish, and we don't notice them because we're too involved fighting each other. So, and they know that. So our government knows that. Our government knows that the others are instigating war amongst mankind. But the other issue is that these gods from you got to look back at ancient history and all those stories about gods that came down and did this and that. It's all true. The way it's explained to me.
Yeah, that must be why they don't want to tell people what it is, because there's so much contradicting information out here. I mean, if that's what is going on, I've seen a lot of videos where it does look like they're cloaked in the sky. It looks like they're fighting, but then again, so much AI out there, you don't know what's real. Maybe I need to dig a little deeper into what's been going on with it, because all I know is I get my news feed from TikTok and YouTube. I don't even watch the news. I don't think half the people in this country watch the news, to be honest. Where do you guys get your news from? Do you watch news, actual news channels, or do you just take the info you get from YouTube videos and TikTok? Throw that in the comments. I'm curious.
So all these spheres that are buzzing around Earth are most likely remnants of an ancient planetary defense system that some civilization created to protect us from off-world entities and extraterrestrials. But that civilization that created it, probably the Atlanteans, is no longer here in mass. But we still have this defense system. We still have these spheres that are buzzing all around our Earth. And I'll show you some startling evidence in this video that'll really make you think way differently about the history of humans, about our place in the cosmos, and about what's really going on between this battle of good and evil, this battle of ET races, where humans fit into this whole weird puzzle. I'm Jordan, live and kicking. Hope you're doing amazing today. So this picture right here is outside of the Vatican. The Vatican, and we already know they're not telling us everything they know, obviously. But why do they have this gigantic sculpture of this sphere, this ominous looking sphere outside the Vatican? Okay, well, it's not just at the Vatican. After the Vatican commissioned the artist to make this sphere, they made a whole bunch more and put them at the United Nations headquarters, put them at all sorts of universities around the world. These things are around the world. Now, you could just say this is art, right? Okay, but let's get into the spheres here. Not only do we have a sphere, there's a famous Betts sphere. The Betts family in Florida was out looking at this brush fire, and they found this sphere in a field. And there's been several others found. And this sphere, they took it home, and the dad, like a few days later, was playing guitar, and the sphere started moving on its own, and it started vibrating and making this humming noise to the guitar. And he was like, whoa, this thing is interacting with not only us, but with the sound, right? And this sphere has been studied by big names, Gary Nolan and others, and they don't think it has any on-world, or they don't think it has any human explanation, okay? So on top of that, we have things like the Mosul Orb, which is a military satellite photograph of this metallic orb that is flying over Mosul, Iraq during wartime. So it tracked it. This is just a still shot, but the satellite actually tracked this orb floating all around, and no propulsion, no heat signature, no anything. Now, on top of that, we have reports of these orbs at nuclear bases, shutting down nuclear silos, turning nuclear missiles offline, doing all sorts of weird, crazy things that no one can stop and no one can control. Then going back to, like, say, the World War I and II times, we had what were called Foo Fighters. And Foo Fighters was essentially these orbs that were harassing our airplanes, basically. They didn't know what they were. They all thought it was Nazi technology. They thought it was Russian technology. No one knew what it was because they couldn't explain it. But there were these orbs that were just buzzing airplanes right and left, right? And driving people crazy. There's tons of reports of these orbs, and no one could explain it. They never did anything nefarious. They never downed a plane or hurt anybody, but they were everywhere, okay? And even today, if you start analyzing photographs of UFOs, right, and of space shuttles and of rocket launches and all this stuff, usually when you see a picture of a UFO, you just focus on the UFO. You're like, that's a UFO. I don't care about anything else in the picture. But when you actually go and look at old pictures of UFOs, you start seeing dots all around the UFOs. You start seeing these orbs everywhere. but no one was noticing them in the past because, like I said, if you see a picture of UFO, you just look at the UFO. If you see a flying saucer, you're looking at the flying saucer. You're not noticing these little balls around it, right? The orbs are everywhere. So what are these orbs? They are buzzing all around our Earth at all times, right? Tons, thousands of reports of them, thousands of photographs of them. What are they? Well, there's a dude named Patrick Jackson, really cool guy in England and or Ireland, England or Ireland. He has a weird accent. Anyways, he is a computer programmer. He's an IT specialist, and his specialty is like decoding systems and reverse engineering things and figuring out how systems work and that kind of stuff. He's in IT. So he started seeing these orbs over in, I think it's England. And he started looking into it and trying to figure out, okay, what are these things? And he found out all these links between the orbs and like paranormal things happening, haunted houses, ghosts, that kind of stuff. And he was able to, I mean, he deep dived on this for years, wrote a book, and for a while, no one cared about him. I've been talking about him for a while now. Now he's starting to kind of hit mainstream because people are really starting to look into these orbs. I mean, the freaking Pentagon released that Mosul orb satellite picture, and no one can explain it, okay? And they just kind of glossed over it. They're getting us ready for this. What he was able to deduce through his intense research is that this is a global defense system, because what's happening, and we have lots of reports of this too, is when there's a UFO that say is not supposed to be here, they circle it and they either run it off or they shoot it down. And now I've had a lot of people ask me when we talk about downed UFOs and stuff, they're like, how can these UFOs fly, millions of light years or whatever through the universe, traverse this crazy vast distances, then get to Earth and just crash? Like, it doesn't make any sense if they're so advanced. Well, it seems like we have a security system here on Earth that is literally shooting down these UFOs, okay? Now that would explain the crash craft. It would also explain all these pictures showing all these orbs around the UFOs. So Patrick Jackson goes into great detail about how these work. There's a relay system, they triangulate. There's a type 1, type 2, and type 3 spheres. They all are in different levels of the atmosphere. The type 1s actually hide in like houses and forests and stuff like that. Whenever they have to activate to communicate with the other spheres, it puts out this radiation, and that's why they do paranormal effects to get people to clear out of spaces. That's why houses become haunted, doors start opening and closing, and plates fall off of the walls and things like that don't make any sense. Like, why would a deceased ghost do that? It's their way of getting humans out of the way so they don't get hurt by the radiation, right? It's a protection for us, because it seems like these things here are here to protect us, to protect Earth, but we didn't put them here. So where did they come from? All arrows point to Atlantean technology, that this is remnants of like how we have satellites in space, right? And submarines in the ocean. I say something happened to us and we were wiped out. All humans were killed and wiped out. Some species, 10,000 years from now will come to Earth and find our satellites floating through space. They'll find our submarines, nuclear powered subs, floating around the ocean. They'll find remnants of us, right? But we won't be here. So I think that these spheres are remnants of a previous ancient advanced human type civilization that had these things here to protect them from extraterrestrials, from the bad guys, okay? And they're still here, they're still operating. Some of them fall out of the sky, literally, because they're probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years old, like the Betz sphere. And there's been other people that have found these spheres. And we think that there's quite a few of them that are in government hands. So knowing all this, what does this tell us about everything? I love stories like this because it's blatantly obvious to anybody who opens their eyes that there's so much more to our history that we're not told. Humans go back way longer. There was multiple advanced human type civilizations on Earth before us. Technology is not new. It's very, very old. And there's repeating cataclysms and things like that. And also species that just kind of outgrow this planet and move on, but leave their stuff behind. That's what we're finding with all the ancient temples and ancient civilizations and monoliths and all this kind of stuff, is these weren't hunter-gatherers. A lot of these people were extremely advanced. That's why they put their stuff in stone, carved things in stone, like tablets, not because they didn't have computers, but because they know that after cataclysm stuff, computers will be gone, but stone tablets last forever. Anyways, I think that these types of technologies are remnants of these past civilizations, and it proves and shows that not only does our human story go back way longer, but also that there are things out there in the universe that obviously these other people that were way more advanced than us were protecting themselves from. You know what I mean? Like, it's not this whole Stephen Greer thing where like, all aliens are happy aliens. No, it's just not nature. Even if you're advanced doesn't mean you're going to be benevolent. And you might not even be malevolent, but you might just want something that someone else has. You know, like when we go in and tear down forest, the deer think we're evil. We're not out to get the deer. We just want the forest, right? So it shows that there's more to the story, and also shows that the ones before us that were super duper advanced were protecting themselves and this entire planet from something. And it seems like that is still out there, still fighting for us and still protecting us. And that is wild, right? Isn't that cool? So it's cool to know that. But also, what are they protecting us from? And why does the Vatican have a gigantic sculpture of it? And what is going on? Let me know. What do you guys think in the comments? Have a beautiful.
That's the first time I've heard anything like that, but that does make sense. You know, that reminds me of a movie. I can't think of the name, but it had Tom Cruise in it, and it had a lot to do with water. And there was balls, there was spheres like that. That was like AI, that robots or something that would come whenever he was in a situation, or it was like basically they was surveillance. I think it was something called like Oblivion or something maybe. But it's Tom Cruise and a woman, and they live in like a tower. It's like a platform on a tower that's up in the sky, and it's got a lot to do with water. It reminds me of what's been going on here. I'll have to figure out what that movie was, and I'll put it in my next video. With that being said, guys, that's the end of this video. Like I said, I've only been doing half-hour ones because I haven't been getting no likes, comments, or any subscribes. It takes a long time to put these videos together, but I'll still bring one to you every day, at least a half-hour long. I was doing hour ones. I got some hour ones up if you guys want to check them out. If you guys got any videos you want me to post or include in this, you can reach out through my email. With that being said, though, that's all I got for you. Till next time, see ya.